Good evening, everyone. I call to order the regular meeting of the Victoria City Council. We begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand and join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first item on our agenda tonight is announcements. A joint workshop with the Planning Commission will be held on Monday, November 8th at 5 p.m. for a panel discussion with the Urban Land Institute to discuss affordable housing. Budget discussions will continue with the Council holding its next budget workshop on Monday, November 22nd at 5 p.m. to discuss capital projects and the city's 5-year capital improvement plan. The city will be hosting a mini fall festival on November 2nd from 5 to 8 p.m. at Bayfront Park. We're encouraging everyone to recycle your pumpkins, so come out with your entire family, bring your pumpkins, and stay for a family-friendly movie. We'll also be showing Disney and Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas. That will start at 6:30 p.m. All meetings of the City Council are open to the public and held in the City Council chambers. We encourage anyone wanting to attend our council meetings in person to contact our city clerk in advance so we can ensure proper seating. The next item, we have a proclamation this evening regarding domestic violence. In recognition of the critical work being done by domestic violence advocates in service of survivors and victims they serve, I encourage all citizens of Victoria to actively engage in the work and events sponsored by the Southern Valley Alliance, which can be found on their website, www.svamn.org, and other organizations working toward the elimination of domestic violence. I will now read a proclamation recognizing October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Proclamation 2021-05 declaring October 2021 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Whereas more than 10 million adults experience domestic violence, and whereas over 1.5 million high school students are physically abused by dating partners annually in the United States, and whereas more than 19,000 calls are placed to domestic violence hotlines nationwide every day, and whereas the impact of domestic violence is felt not only by individuals and families, but communities and nation as a whole. And whereas Victoria joins with others across the state of Minnesota and nationwide in supporting domestic violence victims and survivors, the advocates and organizations who serve them, and holding offenders accountable in Victoria. Now, therefore, the Mayor and Victoria Council members do hereby proclaim October 2021 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. The next order of business is to adopt the final agenda. Council, is there a motion to adopt the final agenda?
Motion to adopt final agenda.
We have a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on to our next item, and that is open forum. It's the opportunity for anyone to address the council on an item that is not an agenda and not in application form that will be coming to the agenda for a future date. We have 2 individuals registered for the open forum tonight. Representative Greg Bowe is with us this evening. Representative Bowe, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor McMillan. Thank you, commissioners. Thank you, councilors. There we go. Okay. State Representative Greg Bowe, proud to represent District 47B, which is made up of a good portion of Victoria, a good portion of Chanhassen, and all of Chaska. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak for just a couple of minutes this evening with a quick summary from the 2021 legislative session. So first thing to talk about is we actually got the biennial budget done, and we got it done in time. Yes, statute requires it to be done by July 1st, and we did that with less than a day to spare, but we did get it done. And I think what I'm most proud of is the fact that we got our budget done with no tax increases, and that's huge. The state of Minnesota at the time had a $4 billion, with a B, billion-dollar surplus. And anytime you have a surplus, that means, in essence, you're collecting more money than you need. So at that time, I just couldn't see having a tax increase, and families and businesses are struggling. So we got it done without a tax increase. That's a good thing. Our statewide ed budget, the education budget, that's the largest category, one of the largest categories in the state budget. And we actually approved an education budget with a 4.45% increase for our students in Minnesota, and that's the largest increase in 15 years, and did that without a tax increase. We ended the peacetime emergency powers in Minnesota, and that's a big deal as well. I'm a strong supporter of local control, because Victoria knows more about Victoria than St. Paul ever will. Eastern Carver County knows more about Eastern Carver County than St. Paul ever will. So that local control is important because it allows local governments to make those important decisions in our communities. So glad to see that local control handing those decision-making powers back to the local government. I continue to work for small businesses. Many people think that small businesses are open now, so everything's back to normal. But the truth is it's not. A lot of local businesses are really struggling yet. They're struggling to find staff and keep staff. They're struggling to get their heads back above water. The lockdown from COVID was really difficult on a lot of businesses. And so the message that I want to share is please support our local businesses. Restaurants, bars, businesses of all types, they're struggling yet and they need our help. So this past year, many efforts went into trying to restrict law enforcement and their ability to do their job. And I'm pleased to announce that some of the most onerous language did not pass. But unfortunately, a couple of good bills didn't pass either. One was going to increase the penalty for committing a crime for the benefit of a criminal gang with a gun, and that didn't pass, and I think it should have. Another one was increasing the penalty for someone being in possession of a gun when they're not legally allowed to be in possession of a gun, and that didn't pass either. They will be back next year, I'm sure of it, but the sad thing about that is a lot of our border communities are really struggling now. The states that surround Minnesota are hesitant to send their law enforcement professionals into Minnesota for a joint response request. And so the border communities are really struggling to get enough law enforcement presence in their small communities when they call their neighbors across the border for help and they won't come. And it's because of the laws we have, the troubles we're having, and the bills that we haven't passed that will fix things that they're concerned about. So we need to continue to be cognizant of that. But overall, our communities are very safe. And our residents in our communities do support law enforcement, and they do support first responders, and I'm very happy for that. It warms my heart to see that response. But we need to be aware of that and continue to work to improve those situations. I did want to share that I co-authored a couple of bills. One was seeking funding and received funding for Highway 212. So upward of $25 million for Highway 212. So phase 1 and phase 2 are moving forward quickly, and that's a real positive for all of Carver County as well as a good portion of southern and western Minnesota all the way out to the South Dakota border. Another one, I chief authored House File 1544, which I'm proud to say just received a stop on the fall bonding tour, and that's seeking $10 million for 82nd Street and County Road 18 and Lyman Boulevard. And so we got a stop on the bonding tour. It's going to be coming up in a couple, 3 weeks, and that's a big positive. We're working for a bonding stop for the Senate bill as well, but we would really benefit, I think, all of Victoria and Chaska and Chanhassen by having that road improved. So glad to see that moving forward and getting some traction. And that's really all I have, other than I just want to say I'm always available. If you have any questions or if any residents have any questions, I would encourage you to call my office at 651-296-5066 or send an email to rep.greg.bow@house.mn. And I thank you for the opportunity to talk with you a couple of minutes this evening.
Thank you so much, Representative Bowe, and we want to take a minute to say thank you for carrying that bonding bill for us on 82nd Street. That is an important thoroughfare coming into Victoria, and we want to increase the safety on that road in a big way. So that is a big part of getting that road taken care of.
That's
so
my
thank you for
pleasure.
that.
So make sure you don't send the road grader out in the next couple of weeks. We want that bus to feel those bumps on it.
Noted.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank
Council,
you.
anything else for Representative Bowe?
No, Just want to say
Terrific.
thank you.
Yeah,
My
terrific.
pleasure.
I think you are dismissed to get on to your next thing.
Very good.
Thank you so much.
I've got to run to another community, but you'll notice where I went first.
Yeah, we
All right.
appreciate that.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Greet Mayor Ryan for us.
I will do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Miss Sarah Beron. Miss Beron, please step to the podium and state your name and your cause.
Yes, my name is Sarah Beron. I am here representing the Auburn Acres neighborhood, and I'd like to first kind of ask all my neighbors to stand up here so you can see how many of them are behind us and in support of this.
Welcome to all of you. Thank you for being here.
I do also want to say thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to stand before you today and talk about something that's really important to all of us. We are Auburn Acres, so we're the small neighborhood north of Highway 5 that borders Lake Auburn and Highway 5, just west of here. And it's an older neighborhood. The homes were built in the 60s and 70s, and we have no access to any parks or trails. We've been kind of getting by because we've had this empty lot in the middle of our neighborhood that was just an undeveloped woodsy lot. And so we've been kind of playing there. The kids have been, making forts in the woods, and it's been kind of acting as our park for us. But that lot is now up for sale and actually has an accepted offer on it. So my original plan was to talk to you today about dedicating that lot as green space for our neighborhood, but I fear that the pending sale will go through and we won't have that opportunity. But that kind of just brings to light, the real issue of our neighborhood, which is access to parks and trails. We live, in one of the best communities for parks and trails, and we love that about Victoria, and we value that, and I know you guys do too. We like paying for that. I mean, we're happy to put our tax dollars to work for parks and trails, but we don't have safe access right now. Our families have to run across Highway 5 in a place where there is no intersection. It's not safe to run across Highway 5 or walk, into downtown Victoria, that half of a mile from our neighborhood to downtown Victoria to get on the trails. And so I come to you today with a proposal to put a trail, a 0.5 mile trail from Auburn Drive on the north side of Highway 5 to Steiger Lake Lane. So just to give us, that safe access to downtown Victoria and the Lake Minnetonka Regional Trail here and Lions Park. So it's, it's a pretty kind of straightforward, I've walked that thing as much as I could. There is a slight wetland right there, so there will have to be a little wooden bridge or something to go over where 6 Mile Creek goes under Highway 5. But, just right on that easement next to Highway 5 is where I'm hoping this will go. And I know kind of what you're thinking. You're like, oh, okay, well, this is just one small neighborhood, and why would we build a trail just for you guys, right? But if you kind of flip over the sheet of paper that I gave you, it talks about. I did quite a bit of research in preparation for today. I read the comprehensive plan and all of the great plans that you guys have for developing out west. And the trails that kind of you have in place going out that direction. And you do have, in one of your maps, a trail that goes along Highway 5 on the north side. You called it a county road trail. And it sounds good to me. I'll take any trail. And so this little section that I'm asking you to build soon-ish, from our neighborhood to downtown Victoria would be, part of that larger trail piece. And eventually, it would be part of the trail that connects downtown Waconia to downtown Victoria. I also kind of toured the downtown Victoria businesses last night, and I talked to a few of the owners about, how much business they get via bike from Excelsior. And some businesses said as much as 25% of their business in the summer is from bikers coming from Excelsior. And so then I asked, well, how much of your business comes from bikers from Waconia? 0, because there is no trail currently connecting Waconia to Victoria, kind of a straight trail. So, Representative Bo was talking about how we really need to support our local businesses, and this would be one way that we could potentially increase their business by as much as 25% or more, especially because Waconia is growing so much and all of the future building and growth that's going to be coming from the west. So and then we would partner with the city. I kind of outlined how it would work. We would partner with the city of Waconia to build half of that trail because it's on their land, half of it, and then also some of it would go through Carver Park right there. And so the Three Rivers Park District would kind of pay for that. And there are already some trails that they could just connect to it. So the city of Victoria would get a large bang for their buck. All we're asking is, this half-mile trail, which is relatively inexpensive, and then eventually it would lead to this great connection to the city of Waconia and all the benefits that would come to that for the entire resident population of Victoria and Victoria businesses.
Terrific.
So,
Thank you, Ms. Beron.
thank you.
Okay, we typically do not engage in conversation at the open forum about topics, but I know that the council has a few questions. I'm looking over here to Dana and council to find out if we want to engage that up front or if we want to talk about that a little bit at the end of the meeting.
Council, it's entirely up to you.
Okay.
I think in this case, it probably makes sense to do that now if that's what you want to do. It's your policy.
Thanks, Ms. Hardy. We will do that. Council, thank you, Ms. Barron. You can go ahead and have a seat.
Okay. I thought you guys were going to ask me questions.
Well, don't go far, because if we do, you can rush right back to the. Yes, thank you. Most people do not prepare this extensive of a presentation, so thank you for that. It's very helpful to us. Yes. All right. I believe our Park and Rec Commissioner our Park and Rec Director is with us. I see her in the back. Ann, would you please come to the podium? I have a couple questions for Ann. This is Ann Monkey, our Park and Rec Director. So hi, Ann. How are you?
Good.
Good. Hey, a question for you. Is this trail gap, which it actually is a trail gap, been identified by the Park and Rec?
It has not been included on the trail gaps that we have evaluated
Okay.
today. It
Okay.
is within the comp plan, though.
Oh, it is?
So
Okay.
we don't have all of those trails that are identified in the comp plan, because generally those come with growth
Understood. Okay.
and/or street improvements that are made.
Okay. Terrific. Councilmember Black.
So when we do Highway 5, when they do the expansion, would that include the trail?
Generally, yes.
So that's,
If there's local funding source for it, yes.
okay. Because that's coming up. It's not going to be like next year, but it's going to be,
Not this section of the road.
when is that, in 5 years,
Yeah.
20 years?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
It's out there.
It's out there, but we're going to work hard to get it moved up. Councilmember Bear. Oh, I'm sorry. Councilmember Black, did you have anything else?
No, I'll just let.
Okay. Oh,
Councilmember
Mr.
Black.
Dahl, welcome.
Yes, Mayor, members of the council, the Arboretum area transportation plan improvements, which I think is what you're referring to, they do end at the around the bridge on the west side, so they would not extend as far west. So that area of Highway 5 is much farther out than some of those identified in the Arboretum plan.
Okay, terrific. Thank you, Marty. Councilmember Bear.
I had a question, and Sarah mentioned the county road trail. Is that a county trail? What is that county road trail?
I'm not sure. I don't recall ever seeing it listed as a county road trail.
I think it's a state, isn't it?
This would be, yes, it's State Highway 5.
Okay.
So much like State Highway 7, we also have regional trail or trail identified in that area as well.
So we would have to work with the state?
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of jurisdictions, not just, and Sarah had mentioned several of them, the City of Victoria, the Watershed District, Three Rivers Park, the state, county,
Waconia.
City of Waconia. Yeah, there's
We
a
have
lot
to
of.
get them all together.
So we need to, so I think other questions, council, sorry. I think what I would like to do, or like to recommend here, is that we direct staff to include this on our trail gap map, and maybe start in the process of trying to to get these folks connected to the rest of us. Because we would certainly like to claim them. Look at they're fine-looking people. They're fine-looking people. Let's claim them as Victorians and get them connected
We'll
to our,
certainly do that.
get them connected to our amenities. So we want to say thank you so much for bringing this to our attention. And we will get started on the process, and you have a great spokesperson in Ms. Beron here. So we will be sure to keep in contact with her and engage her in the process as we work through trying to close that gap on that trail. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Is that enough for you to, all right, very good. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Is there anyone else within the council chambers that'd like to speak on open forum?
Aye. Man, that made everything easier to.
All right, we're going to wait, we're going to give it a second while the council chambers clears, and then I'm going to see if there's,
Already no one wants to stay.
I know, right? We're fascinating.
After this, we're gonna.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak in open forum? Seeing no one, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are routine, administrative, and don't require deliberation or housekeeping items required by law. They're approved with one vote unless someone requests an item to be considered separately. Ms. Hardy, who has left the room.
Madam Mayor, I can make my best Dana Hardy impression. None
be
from
wonderful.
staff, Madam Mayor.
There is nothing from staff that wishes to be pulled from the consent agenda. Council, anybody from council wish to pull anything from the consent agenda? Seeing none, anyone in the audience wishing to pull anything from the consent agenda? Council, on that note, may I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Motion to adopt the consent agenda?
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We are now moving on to our regular agenda. There are no items to come before us this evening on our regular agenda. We will now move on to reports and emerging issues. Attorney Vose, anything from you?
You know, Mayor and Council, I feel like I have to say something because I get asked every meeting. I just would mention that on the MetroNet deal that we talked about a meeting or two ago, MetroNet supplied some additional information. We had some questions for them about their application, and one of the things they supplied was a relatively long list of communities in which they serve by acquiring Jaguar. And so that just sort of bolsters the information that you were supplied previously. And I would just mention, in addition to that in addition to Chanhassen, they are plowing forward in a number of other communities looking to expand in Minnesota. So there's all reason to believe that this is sort of a real thing, and I know staff wants to get going on negotiating a deal with them. So
Terrific.
that's what I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Ms. Hardy, any reports from staff?
None from staff, Madam Mayor.
All right, council, reports from council. Nobody? All right, well. Councilmember Black.
Yeah. The other day, I was out looking at the parks to see how they fared with the upkeep, and I ran into Nancy and John Upton at the Kirklachen Park, and they were cleaning it up and transplanting and got a bunch of shrubs out of there, and it was really, they said they loved doing it, so I loved that they did it.
Bless them.
And they were asking for some mulch, so I was hoping we could get that to them. And there was an area that has the shrubs that go down the hill. They wanted to know about pulling that out and planting wildflowers. They had a bunch of seeds, so I thought I'd ask that, and I see Ann shaking her head, so
She's going to take care of all
we're
those
good.
needs.
So thank you.
Terrific. Anything else?
No.
Council, anything else?
Yeah.
Councilmember Gunderson.
I would just urge people to drive around Victoria and take a look at some of the Halloween decorations. I know Christmas is a Christmas light thing, but we've got a wonderful apartment unit over here that we get to see as we leave. It's lighted and everything, and it's phenomenal. My neighbor has a wonderful yard of Halloween, and I know there are some others in some of the neighborhood communities that I think are worth the drive. So if you can get out and go check it out, I think it'd be worth your time.
Terrific. And we all know that the leaves are coming down, so just a reminder that the compost is open and available for folks who want to do leaf recycling. And as a public service announcement, please do not blow your leaves down the sanitary sewers. It's not a good place for
Thank
those
you.
leaves. Bring those, put those leaves and bring them to our compost. Don't blow those down into the sanitary sewers. I see people leaf blowing, and we want to make sure that all the things under our feet work properly. So with that, if there's nothing else to come before the council this meeting, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
You said it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? We are adjourned.